Hey guys, Frank Flegg here from Ethical Property Partners, where we help you to make annual returns on your portfolio on a monthly basis. So, I've jumped out here on the balcony before the sun comes up and it gets too hot. Hopefully it's not too loud with the wind and the waves in the background, to sneak in a quick, sophisticated Saturday property challenge for you. So, as you know, grab a pen and paper. This is where you get the opportunity to solve a deal yourself, and then I tell you how we've sold it. So, this was the deal. I was approached by someone in my church saying a friend of theirs wanted to sell their property. 3-bedroom, 2-story property, quite an unusual one. It was an old stable block that had been converted. They had had 2 failed transactions. The first one had failed at £110,000, so someone had offered, first-time buyer, had failed to get a mortgage on it. The second one had offered, I think it was 105, and that had failed because they were a first-time buyer and they had failed to be able to get a mortgage on it. The mortgage companies had said this is unmortgageable. It's not in a residential street, which is true. It's a mews, so it's like on a crescent behind the main street. And so they were going to put it into auction. And I let everyone know that I buy properties when people are struggling to sell them. And you might be thinking, I don't get people come up to me, Frank. This is just because you have a YouTube channel, you have a podcast, etc. That's not the case. The reason I get referrals is because I make sure that all my friends and family know that I buy properties where people are struggling to sell them. And so I get a lot of referrals, and you need to do the same. If you go through your phone and look at every single name in your phone, by the way, if it's an iPhone, flick to the bottom and it tells you how many contacts you have in your phone. It's amazing how many people you actually know and have their number in your phone. Ask yourself how many of those, just do the first 100, how many of those know that if their friend or family member needed to sell in a hurry or had a problem with a property, you can help. And unless it's 100 out of 100, you need to tell more people that you can solve their property problem. So this is what happened. A member of my congregation came to me and said, Frank, my friend's got a problem with their property. They're trying to sell it. It's failed twice. They're considering putting it into auction. Can you help? And so I went and spoke to them, and I said to them, what are you selling it for? £73,000 for this property. It's in the worst, well, it's behind the worst street in the city. So we're talking East Midlands here, so that's why it's £73,000. But this is within about 50 metres of this property. You've got the drug dealers where people are queuing outside people's houses. You've got the police driving down probably every hour. You've got ladies of the night come dusk, etc. So it's that part of town. Really, really the worst street in town. And so market rent for this property is probably only £450 a month, so not a great market rent. And 2 mortgage lenders have already said they're not willing to lend on the property. And so my challenge to you is, what would you do? It's going to go into auction. The valuation from the auctioneers is about £73,000. That's what they're expecting to get for it. And we've already had an aborted purchase at 110, an agreed purchase at 110, an agreed purchase at 105, and now the auctioneers are saying £75,000 is what you can expect to get for it. What would you do? So you're on the phone, you're speaking to this couple, they're already leaving, they're going down to Cornwall to set up their own church as it happens. The property's empty, it's still full of furniture, etc. They don't even want the furniture on it. What would you do? What would you ask the vendors, and what offer would you make? I will tell you what I did after the break. Hey guys, welcome back. So, what did you do? What did you write down as your solution to this scenario? Well, first off, you have to buy it really quickly. They're not interested in a control now, pay later strategy because it's going to go to auction and sell otherwise. Secondly, they're going to want a little bit more than auction because they see in their mind auction as being a certain way of selling. So I offered them 75. I said, if I can give you 75 for it, would you accept? And they said yes in a heartbeat. Now, this property's already had a confirmed offer and a purchaser willing to proceed at 110, so that's quite a good deal. But I can't get a mortgage right now because it's deemed non-residential. Now I need to prove that this property works as a buy-to-let, and then I can go and get a remortgage. And actually the remortgage, I've just had the offer in the last couple of weeks, so we're just going through the refinance now. So what I did is I went to a finance investor, funnily enough someone else in my church congregation, and I said to them, look, I've got this property, I need £75,000 to buy it. I actually asked for an extra £5,000 so I could finish furnishing it. There was a few sofas that I needed to put in, I needed to put some beds in and stuff like that. It had all white goods, it had some of the furniture, etc. And so they lent me £80,000 on an 8% interest rate. So quite a high interest rate, but because it was such a low amount that I was borrowing, it was fine. Now, I didn't want to rent it out as a single AST because it was quite low, so I did it as a holiday let. It is so close to the centre of town. It's about 400 yards to the centre of the city, not in a great area, and I mentioned that. So in the listings, we talk about the area. We say, look, this is an oasis in a rough part of town. You've got off-street parking, your car's protected, it's an alarmed building, we've never had a burglary, but it's not in the most desirable part of town. Now, if someone was living there, I think we'd have more complaints from tenants and we'd have a high turnover of tenants. But because they're short-term guests, they come for a week, they come for a weekend, they come for maybe 3 months for work in the city centre, we don't get those complaints because they're going to work and they're coming back and they're just sleeping. They just want to be able to cook in their own kitchen, they want their own lounge, they want their own bedroom, they want a bit more space than they would get in a hotel. And we do charge about hotel rates, so we net between £800 and £1,000 a month after bills and before we've paid the lending. So we make good money on this every month and have done for a few years, and now we're refinancing because the lenders now are happy that there's a market for holiday lets in that area. We can show them our books. We're actually getting a lot more money. It's just been valued at £120,000. So we bought it at 75, it's been valued at 120. We're getting £90,000 lending. That pays back the £80,000 that we borrowed. It gives us £10,000 cash back, money for nothing, and we can carry on running it as a holiday let. If you came up with that solution, then congratulations. If you didn't, have a look at what you came up with, and do you think now in retrospect it would work? Is it a better solution to my solution? Is it not quite as good as my solution? Is it the same solution? And if you want to have questions about this deal answered, log on to our next podcast, because that will be where one of our country owners, one of our master franchise area owners, will be quizzing me on this specific deal. They'll be asking me all the gritty details. Why didn't you do this, Frank? Why did you do this, etc. Hopefully you enjoyed this session, guys. If you would like more of this content, click the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and I will see you on an episode soon. Until then, happy investing.